So welcome back. Now we are going to see the next set of MCQs choose in the financial management. So we have seen till question number 52. So now moving on to question number 53. The treatment of interest and dividends received and paid depends upon the nature of enterprise. For this purpose, the enterprise are classified as see the interest and dividends received and paid. If suppose we are into financial service of enterprise, that is we are acting as we are running an enterprise which is having a financial thing as a business. Then for financial enterprises, this interest paid and dividend received and paid will be the operating activity. Whereas for other enterprises, this interest and dividend will be a financial activity. So basically, the enterprise will be classified into financial enterprises and other enterprises. That is, interest and dividend received and paid depends upon the nature of the enterprise. Suppose if you are running a financial service company, that is a stock market consultancy company or something like that, then your interest and dividend which has been paid and received will be your operating activity, will be considered in the operating activity. Whereas if suppose you are running a textile business, then this interest and dividend paid and received will be your financing activity. So basically, the enterprise will be classified into financial enterprise and other enterprise in order to classify for this particular nature of enterprise for this interest and dividend which has been received and paid. So the right answer is option D, financial enterprises and other enterprises. Next, moving on to question number 54. Cash flow statement is dash for income statement or fund flow statement. See, cash flow statement is not a substitute. It is an separate statement, and income statement or fund flow statement is a separate statement. So this cash flow statement cannot be considered as a substitute. So cash flow statement is not a substitute for income statement or fund flow statement. Next, moving on to question number 55. Fund flow statement reveals the change in working capital or internal capital, share capital, or both AMC. See, basically this fund flow statement, what you will do if you have already finished this fund flow statement chapter in financial management, then you know that in fund flow statement, the first thing which we should mention in the source of funds and application of funds table is on the, if suppose there is increase in working capital, then it should be shown on the credit side, that is application of funds. And if there is decrease in working capital, then it should be shown in source of funds. So basically the fund flow statement reveals the changes in working capital. So option A is the right answer. It shows the changes in working capital between two balance sheet dates. Then moving on to question number 56. A firm following an aggressive working capital strategy would minimize the amount of funds in very liquid assets. Suppose a firm is having a very aggressive working capital, then that is the half of the working capital, half of the investment, that is half of the capital has been invested in the working capital. Then it is called aggressive working capital strategy. That is, they are dumping all the investment in the working capital. That is for the day-to-day business. For example, for the perishable goods, they will follow aggressive working capital technique because they have to purchase day-to-day components so that they can sell it and they can make profit. So it is an aggressive working capital strategy. So minimizing, so the main objective of them is minimizing the amount of fund in very liquid assets, that is cash. They won't keep so much of amount in cash in the liquid assets. So they minimize the amount of fund in the very liquid assets. That is the answer for question number 56. Then moving on to question number 57. Which of the following would be consistent with conservative approach for financing working capital? Suppose you are following a conservative approach. Conservative approach means you are satisfying your short-term needs with the long-term funds. So the right option is financing your short-term needs with the long-term debt. So that will be the right option. So in conservative approach, basically what they'll do is they will satisfy their short-term needs with the long-term procurement of funds. So with the long-term debt, they'll procure long-term debt and they'll satisfy the short-term needs. So option D is the right answer. Financing the short-term needs with long-term debt. So moving on to question number 58. To financial analysis, net working capital means same thing as what is net working capital? Current assets minus current liabilities. So option D is the right answer. Current assets minus current liabilities is nothing but net working capital. So moving on to question number 59. Baumol's model of cash management attempts to minimize the cash balance. Minimize the total cost. See, this Baumol's model of cash management, what they'll do is they will reduce the holding cost, they will reduce the transaction cost in order to reduce the total cost. So ultimate goal of this Baumol's model is to reduce the total cost. So minimization of total cost is the right answer, option C. Next, moving on to question number 60. Which of the following is not considered by approach? So by Miller or model, which of the following is not considered? So option A, variability in cash requirement, it is considered. Then cost of transaction, then holding cost, all these are considered. Only the total annual requirement of cost is not considered in approach. So option D is the right answer. Next, moving on to question number 61. The firm is said to be financially unlevered firm if the firm has, see, understand the difference between levered firm and unlevered firm. If it is levered firm, there will be both debt and as well as equity. And if it is unlevered firm, there will be only equity, that is owner's equity. So option D is the right answer. If suppose unlevered firm, a firm is said to be financially unlevered firm, only owner's equity is in the capital structure. That is, if suppose a firm is a levered firm, then the capital structure consists of both equity and debt. Whereas if it is unlevered firm, it only have the owner's equity in its capital structure. So option D is the right answer. Next, moving on to question number 63. Sorry, moving on to question number 62. The term optimal capital structure implies the combination of external equity and internal equity at which, see, a capital structure, that is debt and equity put together, a capital structure is considered to be optimum only if the overall cost of capital is minimized. If overall cost of capital of the fund is minimum, then it is the optimum capital structure. So the right answer for this question number 62 is overall cost of capital is minimized. The term optimum capital structure implies that combination of external equity and internal equity at which overall cost of capital is minimized. So option A is the right answer. Next, question number 63. Net income approach to capital structure decision was proposed by D. Durand. So D. Durand has proposed this particular approach, that is net income approach to capital structure decision. So next, moving on to question number 64. There is reciprocal relationship between. So you have to understand the reciprocal relation, where there is reciprocal relationship. First, option A and option A will evaluate DOL and DFL. Formula for DOL, contribution divided by EBIT. Formula for DFL, EBIT divided by EBT. So there is no relationship, reciprocal relationship. Then option B. What is the formula for degree of operating leverage? Contribution divided by EBIT, which is nothing but contribution divided by profit. Then margin of safety. Formula is profit divided by contribution. Margin of safety is nothing but what is your profit divided by PV ratio or contribution per unit. So there is a reciprocal relationship between the degree of operating leverage and margin of safety. Understand it clearly. Degree of operating leverage, what is the formula? Contribution divided by EBIT, which can be also called as contribution divided by operating profit. Then on the other side, what is the formula for margin of safety? Profit divided by contribution per unit. So profit divided by contribution per unit, and DOL is contribution per unit divided by profit per unit. So both are reciprocal. So option B is the right answer. Then moving on to question number 65. The genesis of financial risk lies in capital structure decision. So basically the financial risk lies in capital structure decision. That is how much is your debt equity, how much is your debt. That capital structure decision, that is the main genesis of financial risk. Then question number 66. Financial break-even point is that level of EBIT at which EPS is equal to 0. So when earnings per share is equal to 0, then your financial break-even point is nil. So your financial is break-even point is at the level of EBIT at which EPS is 0. If your EPS is 0, then there is a financial break-even point. That is how much you have invested and how much you have received back. That is return is equal. So EPS will be 0. Then moving on to question number 67. In mutually exclusive projects which are selected for comparison must have, see, when you are comparing two projects, project A and project B, if it is both are mutually exclusive, then both the projects should have positive net present value in order to compare it. So the basic criteria is positive net present value. If a particular project is giving negative net present value, the other project should be selected, because the project which is giving negative net present value should not be accepted. So in a mutually exclusive projects, two projects can be compared only when both the projects have positive net present value. Then in a single project situation, that is, if you are analyzing only one project, they have given project A and whether it should be accepted or not, they are asking you. Then in a single project situation, result of internal rate of return and net present value will lead to same decision. So your net present value and internal rate of return both will be same. That is question number 68. So moving on to the next question, question number 69. The discounted rate which forces net present value to become zero is classified as internal rate of return. So what is this internal rate of return? If you have already studied what is this internal rate of return, you know that at internal rate of return, your present value of cash inflow will be equal to present value of cash outflow. So basically, the main criteria of internal rate of return is your present value of cash inflow at internal rate of return is equal to present value of cash outflow. So at internal rate of return, your net present value will become zero. So that is the important point of internal rate of return. So at internal rate of return, your present value of cash inflow will be equal to present value of cash outflow. So the net present value will become zero at internal rate of return. So option D is the right answer. Next, a point where profile of net present value crosses the horizontal axis indicates at a plotted graph indicates project is at internal rate of return. So when your net present value crosses zero, then your project is at internal rate of return. When it is crossing horizontal axis is nothing but when it is crossing zero, then it is at internal rate of return. Next, question number 71. Payback period in which expected cash flows are discounted with the help of projected cost of capital is classified as discounted payback period. Simple. How will you calculate your payback period? Payback period is formula is what is your total investment, total investment divided by annual CFAT. So either if every year your CFAT is same, then total investment divided by annual CFAT will be your payback period formula. Or if your CFAT is different for each year, then at which point of the year, that is at which year you are getting your payback return, that is at which point of the year time period you are taking back your total investment, that is called payback period. And if you are calculating this payback period on discounted cash flows, that is if you are calculating this payback period on present values of the cash CFAT, then it is called discounted payback period. So here in the question they have asked payback period in which expected cash flows are discounted, that is when your CFATs are multiplied with the present value factor, and with that present values if you are finding your payback period, it is called discounted payback period. So option A is the right answer. Then moving on to 72. Question number 72. Number of years forecasted to recover the original investment is classified as payback period. That is, whatever is the original investment and how many years you have taken in order to take back this original investment is called payback period. Then moving on to question number 73. In a proper capital budgeting analysis, we evaluate incremental cash flow. So in a proper capital budgeting analysis, we evaluate what is your incremental cash flow. Option B is the right answer. Then moving on to question number 74. The term mutually exclusive investment means selection of one investment preludes the selection of alternative. That is the term mutually exclusive investment. That is when you compare two investments which is mutually exclusive investment, which means that one investment will be preluding the other investment, that is other alternative. So option B is the right answer. Mutually exclusive investment means selection of one investment preludes the selection of alternative. Then question number 75. Which one of the following is the profitability ratio? Already we have discussed this. Price earning ratio, option C. Then which one of this is not a source of fund? Increase in working capital. This also we have solved already. Question number 76. Option D is the right answer. Then question number 77. The dividend payout ratio is equal to dividend per share divided by earnings per equity share. That is option B is the right answer. Dividend payout ratio is nothing but whatever is your dividend which you are going to pay per share, dividend per share divided by what is your total earnings per share into 100. You will get your dividend payout ratio. And 1 minus dividend payout ratio is nothing but retention ratio. Then question number 78. If EBIT is 1 lakh, fixed asset is 2 lakhs, sales is 10 lakhs, variable cost is 7 lakhs, then operating leverage will be, what is your operating leverage formula? Contribution divided by EBIT. Here we have already EBIT 1 lakh. So we have to find what is contribution. So sales minus variable cost is nothing but contribution. 10 lakh minus 7 lakh, you are getting 3 lakhs. So 3 lakh is your contribution divided by EBIT is 1 lakh. The formula for operating leverage is contribution divided by EBIT. So 3 lakh divided by 1 lakh, you are getting 3. So option B is the right answer. So option B will be the right answer for question number 78. So for 78, option B is the right answer. That is 3 lakh divided by 1 lakh. Then moving on to question number 79. Which of the following is not considered while preparing cash budget? Accrual principle, difference in capital and revenue items, and conservative principle. So while preparing cash budget, all these items are not considered. while preparing cash budget, basically all these items are not considered. So while preparing cash budget, what you will do, you will just have whatever is your cash requirements, you will take into consideration while preparing the cash budget. Then moving on to question number 80, cost of capital may be defined as weighted average cost of all debts. No, the rate of return expected by equity shareholders, that is expected rate of return. Then average internal rate of return of the project of the firm, that is not defined as cost of capital. And option D is minimum rate of return that firm should earn. So option D is the right answer. Cost of capital is nothing but weighted average cost of all the capital. So whether it is equity, debt, or any other cost, so any other mode of capital, weighted average of it is cost of capital. So weighted average cost of all capital, that is called cost of capital. So cost of capital may be defined as minimum rate of return that a firm should earn. So for procuring 10 lakh rupees of investment, my cost of capital is 10%. So 1 lakh is my total cost of capital. So if my cost of capital is 10%, my minimum rate of return from investing that 10 lakh rupees in business should be more than that 10%. So cost of capital is nothing but that is the minimum rate of return that firm should earn. So procuring 10% at 10% rate total investment of 10 lakhs. So when I am investing the 10 lakhs in a business, if my total return is less than 10%, then I'm going to make loss. So that minimum cost of the cost of capital should be the minimum rate of return that a firm should earn. So anything above the cost of capital will be the profit. So question number 81. At indifferent level of EBIT, different capitals will have same EPS. So irrespective of your when your EBIT is at indifferent level, then even if you have different capitals, whether 8 lakhs or 80 lakhs or 8 crores, your EPS will be the same. So at different level of EBIT, your EPS is going to be same. Then moving on to question number 82. ABC analysis is used in inventory management. So ABC analysis is nothing but an tool for maintaining your inventory management. Then moving on to question number 83. Which of the following is not incorporated in capital building rate of cash discount? Option D is the right answer, because in your capital building, tax effect is taken into consideration, time value of money is taken into consideration, required rate of return is taken into consideration. So this rate of cash discount is not incorporated in capital building. So moving on to question number 84. Objective of financial management is maximization of shareholders' wealth. We have already seen this. So maximization of shareholders' wealth should be the primary objective of financial management. Then moving on to question number 85. Which of the following variables is not known in internal rate of return? So at your internal rate of return, which of the following variables is not known? Your discount rate is not known. So initial cash outflows, that is nothing but whatever is your initial investment, that should be known at the time of calculating internal rate of return. Then your terminal inflow should also be known. Then your life of the project should be known. Only this option B, that is discount rate, should not be known. Moving on to question number 86. Cost of capital refers to required rate of return. As I told earlier, whatever is your cost of capital, that is the minimum required rate of return that should be expected from the business. So option C is the right answer. Then moving on to question number 87. Working capital management involves financing and management of all current assets. So basically all current assets, financing and management of all current assets is the working capital management. Question number 88. All listed companies are required to prepare cash flow statement. So cash flow statement is the compulsory statement which should be prepared by all the listed companies. Then question number 89. Ratio analysis can be used to study liquidity, turnover, and profitability, etc. of the firm. What does debt equity ratio help to study? So debt equity ratio is nothing but a solvency ratio. So option A is the right answer. So same kind of MCQs we are repeating again and again in the bottom. So next, question number 90. A firm determines shareholders' wealth by taking the market price per share of the firm. It is also a repeated question. So market price per share of the firm, it determines the changes in the shareholders' wealth. Then question number 91. Capital budgeting technique, which considers the time value of money, is based on cash flow of the organization. So based on the cash flow of the organization, your capital budgeting techniques, which considers the time value of money. So next, moving on to question number 92. Debt financing is cheaper source of finance because when you are procuring finances, that is, you are procuring source of funds from the debt by way of debt, then you will get that advantage of tax deductibility of interest. So on interest, you will get that tax deduction. So that is the advantage of debt financing. So moving on to question number 93. What should be the minimum dividend payout ratio when rate of return is 12% and cost of capital is 10%? So just understand this particular concept. When your rate of return is more than cost of capital, the entire amount should be reinvested. When your cost of capital is more than rate of return, then entire amount should be paid out as dividend payout ratio. Simple. When this R is nothing but rate of return, man. So when your rate of return is 12% and cost of capital for procuring that investment, your cost of capital is 10%. So you're getting 2% extra return from the business. So entire amount which has been earned from that particular business should be reinvested. Your dividend payout ratio, nothing should be distributed out. No cash should be distributed out. Your dividend payout ratio should be 0. So your dividend should be 0 when your rate of return is more than cost of capital. And when your rate of return is less than cost of capital, suppose your rate of return is 8%, your cost of capital is 10%, then dividend payout ratio should be 100%. So you should not keep anything as retention. Every amount should be paid out as dividend. So here your rate of return is more than cost of capital. So dividend payout ratio should be 0. That is option A. All these concepts you would have understand if you have gone through the problematics, that is all the concepts properly. So that is why the self-study will stand back compared to the coaching. So if you take coaching, you will get that extra edge. That is, you will get that extra edge of where to concentrate. You will get that opportunity to know, oh, this is important topic, this should be studied in this way, and this topic should be studied in this way. All this will be, you will not know if you are doing self-study, or you will not know it when you are taking classes, taking coaching where all this information are not given. So basically, the main thing that coaching should provide is you should be told where to concentrate and how to prepare for the exam. Basically, the coaching institute should give you a strategy to prepare. So that is what we stand out, where we concentrate to. So the optimum way of securing more marks is preparing with right strategies, preparing with right material, and preparing with right information. So here we know that it is going to be online classes. So online exams. So if it is online exams, we should concentrate more on MCQs because it is going to be maximum MCQ based. So why we are concentrating more on MCQs. So this is the right information which we are spreading to our fellow mates. So that is what from our side. So that is why we are giving this initiative as this MCQ portal, MCQs which we are solving. So moving on to next question, last question, 94. The term float is used in cash management. So option B is the right answer. That is, cash management is the right answer. Float is basically used in cash management. So with that, we have completed the choose. So moving on to the match the following of this financial management. So match the following, it's like one word matching. So if you are already thorough with all the concepts only, you can solve all the match the following. I'll just explain you the why a particular answer is been chosen for a particular question. I'll just explain you the reason for matching it. So moving on to first question. First question, point number 1, leverage. So leverage means what? One leverage, that is, if suppose leverage of financial leverage, if we are considering debt having influence over the equity, or equity having influence over the debt, that is called leverage. So leverage is nothing but influence of one force over the another. So that is the right answer. Option B is the right answer. Then stochastic model. So stochastic model, the right answer is control limit. So in this stochastic model, they'll set a control limit for each variant. So that is called stochastic model. So control limit. Option A is the right answer for option 2. So question number 2. So then point number 3, commercial paper. What is this commercial paper? Commercial paper is nothing but, for commercial paper is a bill kind of it. Commercial paper is nothing but a bill kind of paper which you are going to receive in the future. So that is the amount which you are going to receive in the future. That is called commercial paper. So commercial paper, you can discount it and raise a short-term finance. Suppose I have a commercial paper that I am going to receive 1 lakh rupees after 3 months. That Commercial paper, I can go and give it in the bank and raise a short-term finance through that commercial paper. So option D is the right answer. That is raise short-term finance through receivables. So commercial paper, right option is option D. Then factoring. Factoring is also known as sold at discount. It is same as commercial paper. Factoring is nothing but you have a commercial paper, you are pledging it at discount. That is, you are selling that commercial paper at discount. Suppose I receive 1 lakh, I have a commercial paper mentioning rupees 1 lakh that I'm going to receive after 3 months. That commercial paper, I can give it to the bank or some other financial institution for 98,000 rupees. That 2,000 rupees is going to be the profit for that bank for receiving that commercial paper and giving the amount before itself. So factoring is nothing but sold at discount. You are selling your commercial paper at discount. So option C is the right answer for factoring. So moving on to second question of the match the following. Point number 1, cash flow statement. So cash flow statement is nothing but AS3. Accounting standard 3 deals with the cash flow statement. Next, net working capital. So net working capital formula is current assets minus current liabilities. So option D is the right answer. Next, payback period. Payback period is nothing but capital budgeting. It is a technique of capital budgeting. So that is the payback period. Next, fixed asset turnover ratio. What is the formula for fixed asset turnover ratio? Net sales divided by fixed assets. So option B is the right answer for question number, that is point number 4. Next, moving on to third match the following. Liquid ratio. Liquid ratio formula is quick assets divided by current liabilities. So the formula for liquid ratio is quick assets, that is liquid assets divided by current liabilities. Then fund flow statement. Fund flow statement is an operational statement. So you should remember this. Fund flow statement is nothing but operation statement. Then IRR, internal rate of return. At internal rate of return, present value of cash inflow will be equal to present value of cash outflow. So if you minus present value of cash inflow minus present value of cash inflow, your answer will be 0 at IRR. So option D for question point number 3, option D. Then Tandem committee. Tandem committee is a committee which sets the permissible finance that can be given by the bank. So Tandem committee is the permissible finance. Then moving on to the fourth match the following. Point number 1, capital budgeting. Capital budgeting, it is a functional area of financial management. That is important functional area of financial management is the capital budgeting. Next, commercial paper. Commercial paper is an instrument. It is also known as receivables which you are going to receive after particular time. So it is a money market instrument. Commercial paper is a money market instrument. Next, point number 3, debtor turnover ratio. So debtor turnover ratio formula is credit sales divided by average collection period. So the formula for debtor turnover ratio is credit sales divided by average collection period. Next, return on investment. What is the formula for return on investment? Return divided by investment into 100. The other formula is net operational profit after tax divided by sales into sales divided by average capital employed. When sales get deducted, net operating profit after tax divided by average capital employed into 100. That is going to be your return on investment. Then point number 5, fund flow statement. Fund flow statement, it is going to give the changes in working capital between balance sheet dates. So for point number 5, answer is option D. Then net present value. Net present value is nothing but a cost of, net present value is nothing but a cost of capital. It is a cost of capital. Next, payback period. Payback period is going to be, the formula for payback period is total investment divided by annual cash flows. So initial investment divided by annual cash flows is a formula for payback period. Next, net operating income approach. That is a part of capital structure theory. So net operating income approach is a part of capital structure theory. Then ADR, American Depository Receipt. That is negotiable instrument. ADR is a negotiable instrument. Next, financial leverage. What is the formula for financial leverage? EBIT divided by EBT. So EBIT divided by EBT is the answer for financial leverage. Then moving on to the next fifth match the following. Option 1, point number 1, dividend policy has no effect on its value of assets. So a particular theory which tells that dividend policy has no effect on value of the assets. That is Graham and Dood model. In Graham and Dood model, it tells that dividend policy has no effect on value of assets. So next, value of shares is worth the present value of its future dividend rather than its earnings. So Myron and Gordon. That is going to be answer for point number 2. And point number 3, dividend policy has an impact on share values. Approach. In approach, we know that we will solve so many sums on approach. Dividend policy will have an impact on share valuation. Then last point number 4, market price of share will increase when company declares dividend rather than when it does not. That is John Burr Williams. That is point number 4. So you should be thorough with all these four concepts, then only you can answer the match the following if they ask. So first go through what are the different models which they have given in the capital structure. Then you can answer this match the following. Then sixth match the following. First point number one, capital structure. It is an approach is the answer for capital structure. It is a part of capital structure. Tandem committee. It releases the maximum permissible bank finance. How much should be issued by bank as finance? That is set by the tandem committee. Then capital budgeting. Capital budgeting. The one technique of capital budgeting is discounted payback. Then net income approach. It is a part of net income approach. It is a part of capital structure. So net income approach is a part of capital structure. And approach is a part of capital structure. So capital structure answer is approach, and net income approach answer is capital structure. Next, benefit cost ratio. Benefit cost ratio is nothing but PI index, that is profitability index. So the right answer is capital budgeting technique. So PI is a capital budgeting technique. So benefit cost ratio is other name of PI. So it is capital budgeting. Next, cash inventory. Cash inventory. It is a Baumol model. Then factoring. Factoring is nothing but pledging your short-term, getting short-term finances using the commercial papers or other same kind of commercial papers. So credit facility is up to 80% of the bill value. That is the factoring. And forfeiting is the credit facility higher than 80% of the value. Then it is forfeiting. Then organization has to be both effective and efficient. And management accounting is a tool to management. So these are all similar, like if you go through the concepts properly, you can answer all the MCQs easily. Then moving on to the seventh question, seventh math of all. If it represents the ownership interest in the company, that is equity share capital. Equity share capital basically represents the ownership interest in the company. Then it all is also a owner capital, but has maturity period, that is preference share capital. Basically, preference share capital has a maturity period. That is, if owner capital does not have a maturity period, then it is equity share capital. If owner's capital has a maturity period, then it is preference share capital. Next, issued keeping in view the need and cash flow profile of the company as well as investors. Debenture. Debenture will be issued only when there is a need, and also it will take into consideration the investor. Then last is a form of equity financing, especially designed for funding high risk, high reward projects. So just remember, high risk, high reward. If it is high risk, high reward project, then capital should be venture capital. That is point number 4. 1 second. So moving on to 8th match the following. 8th question. The ratio, first point, the ratio is the most rigorous test of firm's liquidity position. In case ratio is 1, it means that firm can meet its current liabilities at any time. So liquidity position ratio, it is super quick ratio. If it is liquidity position, 3 ratios: current ratio, liquid ratio, and super liquid ratio. It can also be called as super quick ratio. Then the ratio indicates number of times fixed financial charges are covered by income before interest and tax. That is fixed charge cover ratio. So if they are telling that what is the ratio which deals with the fixed coverage ratio, then it is fixed charges coverage ratio. Then the ratio, third point, the ratio denotes the liquidity of the firm in relation to ability to meet the projected daily expenditure from operations. That is defensive interval ratio. Then last point number 4, the ratio focuses attention on the general financial strength of the business enterprise. A ratio which always focuses attention on the general financial strength, that is proprietary ratio, which is also called as ownership ratio. So moving on to the next match, the following. Optimum dividend payout. See, optimum dividend payout. It is spoken in Jordan model. Jordan speaks about the optimum dividend payout ratio. Then optimum capital structure. See, optimum capital structure, it deals with the Durand model. Durand model deals with the optimum capital structure. DFL. DFL means degree of financial leverage. Basically, this financial leverage is nothing but financial margin of safety. So DFL, right answer is financial margin of safety. Then DOL, degree of operating leverage. It is nothing but a business risk. So moving on to the next match of following. That is point number 10. Question number 10 match of following. Point number 1 is dividend model. So dividend model. Which one of this is a dividend model? Jordan model is a dividend model. Theory of capital structure. Theory of capital structure. It is hypothesis. Then factoring. Fund-based factoring is nothing but fund-based financial service. Then liquid ratio. Liquid ratio indicates the short-term solvency of the company. So next, match the following number. Question number 11. Point number 1. Jordan's model. Jordan's model, relevance of dividends on share value. So basically this Jordan model speaks about how much of dividend payout ratio is going to affect the share value. So Jordan model is the relevance of dividends on share value. Discounted cash flow. Discounted cash flow is inventory internal rate of return. Carrying cost, it is inventory management. Working capital turnover ratio, which is also called as activity ratio. The other name of working capital turnover ratio is activity ratio. Then moving on to question number 12. Point number 1, important elements of capital budgeting is analysis of risk and uncertainty. The capital budgeting is basically done in order to analyze the risk and uncertainty. Then high operating and financial leverage represents a risky situation. Then a consistent dividend policy may affect the size of working capital. If suppose there is a consistent dividend policy, then your size of working capital is going to get affected. Then fund flow statement is a tool for analyzing financial statements. So your financial statement will be given. You will use your fund flow statement in order to analyze the financial statement. Then moving on to the last match, the following 13 questions. Point number 1, defensive interval ratio. It compares the firm's liquidity with the daily operating expenditure, which we have saw already in the match the following. Defensive interval ratio is nothing but liquidity of a firm in relation to its ability to meet the daily operating expenditure. Then CAPM model, that is capital asset pricing model. This capital asset pricing model basically shows the risk return trade-off securities. Forfeiting. Exporter relinquishes the right to receivable due in future for immediate cash payment. That is forfeiting. The approach of cash management. 2 control limits are used for managing the balances. That is the model of cash management. So with that, we have completed the match the following 2. So basically, this cost and management, accounting and financial management, MCQs are also going to be based on this numerical. But whereas theory, you cannot omit it, because if suppose you are going for normal exam, offline exam, which have been conducted like previous exams, then you can go strongly without theory also. Without preparing for theory also, you can go for exam and you can score your 50 plus. Whereas in this MCQs, that is online based mode, you should be thorough with practicals fully, and theory you cannot omit it fully. You should at least revise it for twice before going for exam. So with that, we have completed the match the following of the financial management 2. Thank you.